Hello, hello, hello. We are here with Congresswoman Ramirez from the third congressional district of Illinois, and we are so excited to have you here. There's so many things we want to talk about. We got 10 good minutes. We're going to get 10 good minutes in so that you guys get this information out. And we're talking about what's happening right now with cybersecurity and the threat posed to cybersecurity by Elon Musk and DOGE and big balls and all these kids running around all across Washington going into our federal agencies. What's happening? Like we kind of know what's going on, but we're also kind of really confused about how like regular citizens who haven't been approved by any congressional measures are able to even go in these buildings, and not only go in the buildings but then stop our elected officials who have oversight over these entities from going in. Congresswoman, please tell us what's going on.
Well, let me start, Zachary. It's so good to be on with you right now. And the very first thing I'm going to tell you is that Elon Musk is a threat to our national security. Let me say it again. Elon Musk is the biggest threat to our homeland and our national security. The idea that an unelected, unaccountable billionaire, who in many ways became a billionaire off of our taxpayer dollars, is now controlling absolutely everything in this country. And somehow the president has given him free reign to decide that he is going to attempt to disband agencies that were established by Congress. He is going to have access and the ability to set up his own damn servers to be able to now track and monitor people's data. I mean, to me, if that is not the biggest threat to Homeland and the biggest threat to cybersecurity, I don't know what is.
So when
And
you
the
say
craziest thing, Zachary, Homeland Security isn't talking about it.
no, and it's not. It's kind of. And what's unfortunate is that in this news cycle, mainstream media is being hit with so many things and so many distractions and just so many balls to run after that something like this, again, it hits the news for one big day. It was big deal on a Friday. It happened on a Friday. It was big deal on that day, a little bit on that weekend, but by Monday it was gone. It hasn't been talked about. So when you say has its own servers, you're talking about like how Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had her own server, and that became a mainstream news talking point for 9 months.
Exactly. Exactly right. And here's the thing. Think about it, Zachary. This is a man that has made his riches off of data. This is the man that right now controls much of our socials. You know what he does with X. You know what's happened with Twitter/X since he's taken it over. And you want to ask yourself, he has contracts with other countries and he uses data as a way to profit. What the hell is Elon doing with our information? And why would Donald Trump allow him to target the American people? I mean,
And
he
and
could
what
be.
and right, and so now he has said, because I watch way more news than I need to, and in these interviews, especially the one that he had with little ex Ash, I don't know what baby. I don't speak reptilian, so I don't know the little baby's name. But I don't know whatever name Elon was speaking at the time when he named that poor baby. But in that interview that he gave from the Oval Office, he said that the whole point of all of this is, of course, to cut spending. So, what can we say to people who are defending this and saying, "Oh, this has to happen because this is the only way you can cut spending and go through to figure out what needs to be cut"?
Like
Like,
Zachary,
what can we say to that?
yeah. So first of all, let me say to you, I'm not telling you that every federal agency has worked perfectly. I mean, you and I both know, particularly for those of us that, especially for me, I'll tell you that coming from a working class family, could agencies be improved? Could they be more accessible for people? Could we make it where people are able to navigate resources and benefits more effectively? Absolutely. But that's not what he's about. He is about dismantling every agency that provides safety net and stability for the American people in order for him to have absolute control and power and make himself a trillionaire. Like, how greedy can you be? You're already the richest man in the world. You're just a couple billion from being a trillionaire. And not, and the United States government helped him start off a lot of his companies with contracts with him, right? Multiple contracts across many agencies. And he has said, no, well, now I got mine. I want to make sure no one else benefits, no one else does well in this country. So now he's going to disband things that the United States Congress has started. But further, Zachary, on the cybersecurity front, You and I both know there are real fears of what people are doing with our information. Why do you have to have our addresses? Why do you have to have our social security numbers? What are you going to do with it? Why do you have to have my grandma, my abuelita, or my aunt's information on her SSI or SSD? What are you going to do with it? And who are you going to sell it to? And how are you going to profit from it as I end up losing my house because you're now going to control and limit payments that are deserving and that I have actually earned through Social Security? So it should be sending all of us into like bonkers, asking ourselves, how the hell have you reached this moment? And what are we going to do to make sure that we stop them?
And I think that's a great point. That's a great point. Like a lot of people, when they're talking about this, one thing I've heard is, well, everybody has our data. Well, not everyone has our data, and they don't have our historical data. They may have leaked certain things, but to know the level of information about us that is detailed from these agencies that's being released out is unheralded. In addition to that, the fact that we're losing the Consumer Protection Agency at the time that this data is possibly being compromised is
Exactly.
mind blowing. And the fact, again, I'm so thankful that you and our members of Congress are raising the alarm about this, because I don't think that it's getting out there. Hopefully, we can get this out there. So, those of you who are watching this, please share, 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 and share, because, again, the American people are at grave risk. You brought up a really good point just now when you talked about the spending. I read yesterday, and I saw in that press conference where Baby Ash put a couple boogers on the Resolute desk. I saw in that same interview how they were questioning Elon Musk about governmental contracts in a tune of like $38 million being given to SpaceX, 7.5 million additional dollars just this year for the landing or whatever is landing hangar, lunar landing hangar. And then I saw that we're also going to be purchasing about $400 million in Tesla armor trucks. We are adding to the deficit with these purchases, all in the name of defense, but they're talking about cutting Medicaid and they're talking about reducing SNAP benefits. Is there anything that can be done?
Mhm. Well, first of all, he shouldn't have access to our payment system. And I know that you've seen that the courts have ruled that he is not supposed to enter and have access and limit his access. The reality is that we still know that when we talk to some of the folks that are working right at Treasury, they're really worried and afraid that there's still access in one way or another, right? So we have to make sure, one, we should be very worried. I mean, the man has access and has had access to $6 trillion worth of payments. Our payment system that pays $6 trillion
$1 trillion.
a year. Now, this man is just what, less than $500 billion from being a trillionaire, because he actually doubled his net worth since Donald Trump got elected. And now he's saying, well, listen, some of those payments are for me, so I got to make sure that I'm controlling how much comes to me. Maybe I can get more. I mean, how unethical is that? But you also have a president that is firing his ethics officers. Like, this is the moment of tyranny we're living in. And protecting and preserving this democracy and this country has to be our number one priority. So let me tell you, Zachary, in Homeland Security, I'm a member there and I'm a member of the Oversight Committee. We need to be having hearing after hearing every single day asking who has breached our data. I don't give a damn if his name starts with E and ends with K, his last name. He needs to be before our committee. We should be subpoenaing him, making sure that there's a subpoena against him and he shows up. But furthermore, we should not allow it. There should be an injunction to that. And the reality is that if we don't treat this as a threat to the homeland, everything we care about is on the line. Like, how greedy, how unacceptable is this moment that Republicans can justify, or you're just mad because he's a billionaire and you're not? Well, are you a billionaire, Mr.? I don't want to start mentioning the names, right? But that's what like members in Homeland are saying in this moment. And so Homeland Security, Oversight Committee, like bills that we're putting forth, we should also, Zachary, be asking ourselves, they think that Congress work should be business as usual? Maybe we have to start blocking some things so that they don't have the suspension bills they need to move along.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
Obstruction. We need
They
obstruction.
they want Democrats to obstruct. They want you guys to block. They want you guys to hold up the process. Because, I mean, because a lot of people, like, especially this past week, are saying, what are Democrats doing and what can Democrats do? Now, my response has been not much because you didn't elect them. You didn't give I was going to say Speaker Jeffries, you didn't give Minority Leader Jeffries control of the House. And without that control, there's not a whole lot that can happen. But one thing that could happen would be more like slowing down the process, trying to obstruct the process.
Mhm.
Is that feasible in
Yeah.
2025?
Zachary, it is. Let me say this to you. We have to stop thinking of ourselves as the minority and have to start thinking of ourselves as the opposition party. I know that's hard for people to hear, but in this moment where a fascist is leading our nation, we must oppose his takeover of this country. And it requires us to start seeing ourselves not as minority, not as less than, not as powerless. We have power. In the House of Representatives, they only have one vote majority right now. They're going to get more, right? When these elections finally happen, these 4 elections. But as of right now, anything Donald Trump signs into law, chances are Democrats voted for it. So we have to do everything in our power to oppose in every single way the things he is doing to take over our government, to threaten my uncle's social security benefits, to threaten our ability to be able to have protections, consumer protections, right? To protect our education. I mean, Zachary, I can go on and on and on, all the things that they're attacking. We have more power than we think. And I'm really grateful that Democrats were starting a rapid response working group to look at every single category and opportunity to push back and demonstrate to the American people that there are no excuses.
That's right.
We are
Well,
now
we have to
opposing.
say on behalf of me, everyone who's watching this, everyone's going to see this. Get the word out, get it to content creators, have us join the fight in regards to rapid response. Once we know the issue, once we know how to message the issue, we're ready to work and ready to go and ready to give that insight to inform the American people. Far too many people have turned off mainstream media because of the role they played and not only undermining their value in a democracy, but simply undermining democracy as a whole by not telling the whole story or telling a sentence story. So, we're here committed to this work. I heard the alarm. I'm not going to keep you. No, you keep someone too long, they never come back. It's been a pleasure having you here. Want to definitely have you come back. That final message was, to me, very inspiring. The last question that I had that I really want to know, you made a great point in terms of not seeing yourself as a minority party, but as an opposition party. What about us, those of us who are supporting the vision that's been cast by the Democratic Party, and those of us who are also very concerned and ready to be in the opposition? What can we do as regular people to support this work?
I would start by saying to you that state by state, there are opportunities of things we could be doing. If you are in a state where Democrats are in fact, the majority, support your local general assemblies to make sure that they are adding more provisions of protections on democracy, on education, on healthcare to protect immigrants, to protect us from, violation of due process. There are things that they could be doing, but also mobilize yourselves. Make sure that we are calling Republicans. Yes, you're asking us to do more. You're calling Democrats, but mobilize, show up to protests, show up to rallies, and then help us take down the misinformation. Don't let the rumors be spread. Make sure that we're double checking because, yes, mainstream and other ways, you may get information that you think is accurate and all of a sudden start spreading it. We don't want misinformation spread. It's actually what Donald Trump wants, it's what Elon Musk wants. So make sure you're also double checking before you're sharing.
Okay, now last thing, I got 2 minutes. I hope I have 1 minute, real quick. I always like to end with something fun, and I always like to give my viewers and people who see this a chance to kind of know you in a different way. So, favorite dessert
Ooh, my favorite dessert right now, because I'm
right
so
now?
stressed out, creme brulee.
Wait,
It
what kind?
changes based on the feeling. Creme brulee right now.
Okay, favorite sandwich.
Favorite sandwich, BLT.
What are you watching on TV right now?
What am I watching? Hatched.
Oh,
I think
heck.
it's Ratchet, the nurse, Ratchet.
Oh, okay. Last good book that you read that you would recommend to all of us.
Listen, the last book that I'm reading right now is I'm literally reading legislation every single day and memos. I can't even tell you about the last book right now because like I'm going to sleep reading legislative memos every single night.
Thank you so much for your time. Any questions for me and our audience?
What are you doing to take care of yourself? We're in it for the long haul.
Yes, a really good question. I working out. I do a spin class at least 3 times a week. I make it a priority to make sure that I go. And when I go, I completely zone out. Sad to say, I don't listen to the instructor who may have a move that I like or may have a move I don't like. I just go in for the music and go as hard as I can. And that's my like release to be around people and to just zone out.
So zone out when you can and then come back in because we need you.
I'm here. Thank you so much, Congresswoman. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Zachary.